All right, so I did a story earlier today about how Tom King is saying, oh, comic books are doing fantastic. During the national health crisis, it's going fantastic. Don't worry about it. And we have a special way of telling stories you can only tell with comics, and especially when it comes to the national crisis, don't worry. Yeah, not really. Not really. So we're going to do a follow-up article. It's coming to you from Baltimore Business Journal. Local comic book retailers face challenges and industry upheaval. No, not everything's going so great, Tom King. Okay? Let's check out this article. Here we go. Oh, before we check the article, if you want to support my work, collegeofthedad.com. You'll get College of the Dead Graduation Day. It ships immediately. It's completely done. Really successful 48-page graphic novel I just put out on Indiegogo. And also, sign up. It's free. EpicMermaids.com. Game of Thrones with mermaids. It's going to be shipping October 2020. It's full color. Get on the email list. It's a huge help. I appreciate you. All right, back to the story. Mark Nathan didn't factor a national health crisis into the potential risks when he opened Cards, Comics, and Collectors in Rearstown in May 1984. This is in Maryland. 36 years later, the store owner has second and even third generation customers and is facing a host of new challenges brought on not just by the health crisis, but also upheaval among the comic book industry's publishers and distributors. You don't say Tom King said everything was real good, but okay. Let's go back to it. Under normal circumstances, Nathan and his family would be traveling around this time to visit Charlotte, North Carolina to attend Heroes Convention. Remember comic book conventions? We used to have those. An annual comic book convention, but it was canceled in late April. Free Comic Book Day, originally scheduled for May 2nd, has been indefinitely postponed. Jeppy says they're trying to move it for fall. We'll see. But it's just postponed now still. Meanwhile, details around Baltimore Comic-Con are up in the air. Nathan doubts that event will occur. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Wouldn't you? The restaurant's not even open down the street. At my place. Quote, the loss of income from these conventions has been the hardest part of this entire health thing, Nathan said. Since this all started, we've have worked to put all of our massive inventory online and sell our merchandise to people all around the country. This has been sort of a purge opportunity for us to get rid of inventory and merchandise that we've had a long time. Yeah, if you have a physical retail store, or if someone you care about has a physical retail store, they should have started selling online already. That's the future of retail. So you can sell with a physical retail store, it's fine. But if you don't do a more and more significant of your business online, more and more business online, you're going to have problems. And this guy, look at him. Nathan seems like a nice guy. But he's got to start now, and he's liquidating in competition with everybody else. And he doesn't even have established customers online. So he's selling to strangers in Texas, Arizona, Michigan, whatever. You know, now you got to go find customers. Okay. Adding to the challenges, comic book publishers and distributors clashed during the early months, eventually bringing new changes for retailers and their customers. Some publishers, like Marvel, canceled new releases in March, but later announced their plan to gradually release select new titles over the coming weeks. They laid off a lot of people, too. You know, they laid off, half or something of their editorial staff? Not like they need their editorial staff for a lot of the books they're putting out. But, you know, they laid a lot of people off. They cut a lot of titles. So did a lot of other publishers. And as Zach from Comics Matter says, once the fall comes, once the PPP money runs out, the government subsidies for salaries, wait until you see the layoffs at those publishers. Forget about it. Some publishers, like Marvel, canceled new titles and releases. Okay, I just said that. Distributors like Cockeyes... Isn't that funny, Cockeyesville? It's a real place. Based Diamond Comic Distributors also announced in March that they would be ceasing distributing products to retailers as a result of states issuing various shelter-in-place and stay-at-home orders. Within weeks, DC Comics announced that it was ending its 25-year relationship with Diamond. That's not quite accurate. They said they were going to distribute alternatively, and they made it known, if not officially, they kind of put the word out, hey, this is just temporary, and then it was ended permanently. However, there was nothing else that Diamond could have done, being realistic. Because why? Because they get tons and tons and tons of books in every day, every other day. Some of the customers they had were open, some of them were closed. Their whole business is like a pizza parlor making pizzas every day. So if the pizza parlor is like, okay, yeah, we're going to make like 500 pizzas tonight. That's pretty good for a pizza parlor. But they make 500 pizzas. Like, all right, well, they've got to get them out the door. They don't have room for 500 pizzas, even in one night physically. Maybe they have room for 100 pizzas. It's not 500. And then if they were going to be closed, or their customers who were going to acquire those pizzas were closed for like 3 weeks or 6 weeks or 12 weeks, what were they supposed to do with 500 days worth of pizzas? The stuff would stack up. There isn't even physical storage space for it. There was nothing else that Diamond could have done. Their communication definitely should have been better. That's that. For Diamond Comic, this was hardly a surprise. Steve Geppi, chairman and CEO of Geppi Family Enterprises, also president now, right, which owns Diamond, told a comic industry publication that DC requested a clause eliminating a 60-day termination notice requirement. Geppi agreed, but speculated that it could be the beginning of the end of a relationship between the two companies. We anticipated this as a possible outcome, Geppi said in a statement. We, like so many others in this industry, are disappointed by the decision to end our partnership so abruptly at this time. Geppi also feels, and he said this like in internal correspondence, ICV2, Milton Grap's operation, that website. He said he felt that DC ended the agreement outside of their option to end it, and that they have liability for that. And he said that before they cut Diamond off. So it's my expectation that their dispute has something to do with money. It has something to do with a balance, which is very normal for businesses to have. But I don't know. I think we're going to see some lawsuits fly in. Keep an eye out for those. Mark my words. July 16th, 2020. Ben Ray, owner of Atomic Books and president of the Hampton Village Merchants Association, is one retailer who is not enthusiastic about the new arrangement and its impact on independent stores. After breaking with Diamond, DC switched its periodical distribution to Lunar Distribution and UCS Distribution, which are both owned by major comic book retailers, Discount Comic Book Services and Midtown Comics, respectively. But the thing to know about that, okay, is that it's not just DC turning its back on Diamond or small retailers. DC is turning their back on the whole comic book store industry model. DC is focused on all their other distribution channels, all their other formats, all their other ways of selling, and what Midtown primarily does, and what DCBS primarily does, are these sales direct to consumer at a discount. Here's Midtown, for example. I wanted you to see this. I pulled this up for you so you could see this. We're not selling Midtown comics over here. I'm showing you what's going on. So take a look at DC for Midtown. This is for new orders. 35% off. Okay? So a retailer is typically getting 50, maybe 52% off or something like that. Essentially 50% off, especially when you consider costs of shipping. A normal store is getting that. So they get, say, this $3.99 comic that they buy on a non-returnable basis that they're then supposed to sell either at cover price or maybe a little discount, a typical comic book industry retail store. And they're trying to make money. They're paying like $2 a book plus shipping in, whatever, or say $2 a book. And they're trying to sell that $2 book for $4, maybe for $3.50, whatever they could get. Whatever they don't sell, the retail stores have to keep, and they just lose the money on. In the meantime, they have to compete with this guy that's selling a book that they bought for $2. This guy's selling it for $2.59. So if you're buying your comics at a local store because you want to support that store, and that's great. I love comic stores. I always did. So it got me really excited. That and Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four is what got me really excited about comics when I was a kid. Comic stores. Freaking amazing to go into a comic store. I love it. However, how are they supposed to make this work when they're buying for $2 and selling for $2.60? They're going to sell 10,000 of this? There's very little money available to the comic store. These deep discounts are not discouraged by the publishers. Here's another company, a lot of respect for these guys, mycomicshop.com. 35% off everything. 35% off. So when you buy comics from them, here's the Nice Comic Club. This is from milehighcomics.com. This is Chuck Rosansky's operation. I have a lot of respect for Chuck Rosansky, amazing comic book businessman and comic book retailer and supporter of the industry. But 10 to 40% off on all the comics. How is a sports store supposed to compete with that? The way a store is supposed to compete with that is that they don't focus on selling these new comics. They sell some new comics to get people coming in the door, but they're supposed to be selling back issues. Unsold new comics is supposed to be a small part, or new comics or a small part of your business if you have a physical store. Chuck Rosansky explained this in a great interview recently on a panel on a YouTube show. And he just basically explained you should be selling books that you buy from your customers or people that walk in the door. And really, you're paying 5 cents on the dollar. He was saying 10 cents. It's 5 cents or less, honestly. They don't pay you a lot for collections. However, that's how they're able to stay in business and actually make some money. They got to pay the bills some way. They can't buy a book for $2 on a non-returnable basis and hope and pray that they can sell it against this guy who's selling it for $2.59, who doesn't even, they do this in volume through the mail. They don't have the same overhead that a physical store does. That's why Amazon's killing so many retail businesses. Back to the article. Fortunately for Atomic Books, works from large publishers are only a small part of its inventory. The bookstore focuses primarily on small press or independent self-published work. Yeah. See, this is the thing Ray is saying here. I would prefer to have the option of ordering books through a distributor that isn't owned by large corporate retailers. And they're large corporate retailers because they have a direct-to-consumer business. Midtown Comics has some great big stores they do a lot of business with as well. It's the retail mail order that counts for them. That's what's bringing in significant business. They also have an auction business. They have back issue business that's very significant. They've expanded a lot. They're very successful and good for them. But they certainly didn't do it by having one local retail store or even a few local retail stores focused only on new comics. New comics kills retail stores. It's killed the industry, unfortunately. We need them, but you have to have only so much of them. Too much of a good thing, and nowadays too much of a bad thing. It's not good. All right. Right now, DC Comics is forcing him to support his competition. But the truth is, Ray, they're not your competition. You can't compete with these guys. Look at the prices. They don't work the same way that you work with a local retail store. But Ray, who previously worked for Diamond, believes the company has been a monopoly for big-name publishers such as DC and Diamond and whatever, DC and Marvel, and that other distributors deserve a fair shot. Oh, that's nice. He notes, however, that having a central distributor helps maintain consistency in shops. It's a must-have for customers. Yeah, the Diamond's having problems now with their staffing and their fulfillment like they've never had before because of the health emergency and all the interruption in their business. DC has not helped. Still under a new scheme, quote, I'm far more unhappy than I am having to order comics through Diamond. Why is that, Ray? Well, let's see what David knows. David Simonetta, who owns Cosmic Comics in, Lythicanthium Heights in Maryland, is similarly frustrated about the changes, but he insists that's a little too early to draw any conclusions about the new distributors. Okay, good for you, Dan. Quote, the comic book... It is Dan, right? Yeah, no, it's David. All right, David. The comic book business model is mostly subscription-based or mail order. So these changes are important, but people are just starting to get back to receiving items from us. We had nothing to ship out from March to May 20th when our first shipment went out, so it's definitely going to take some time. Well, your business model, again, as I just spent a lot of time saying earlier, as Chuck Rosansky says, the old G gangster who knows this business, you buy your back issues. You own your inventory. You buy cheap and you sell high, and there's your profit margin. You use the comics, the new comics, to get people in your store and to get people to think of you when they want to sell their back issues. So you can buy them cheap and sell them high. The upcoming hurdle local retailers face is getting their most loyal customers back through the shop doors as Maryland moves into the next phase of reopening by allowing businesses deemed non-essential, such as comic book shops, to open their doors again. I've missed my regulars, says Nathan, the cards, comics, and collectors owner. I don't blame you, Nathan. I'm starting to see some of them. Others I'm a bit worried because I haven't been hearing from them. But we're hoping for only the best reasons for that. Like, yeah, the best reasons is they've moved on. They're not all dead, Nathan. Some people did die, but no, they have economic issues and they're out of the flow of buying comics from you. That's why you should be focusing on back issues and selling mail order retail. Everyone who's successful is doing it that way. So when something works, you must do it the way it works. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Nathan. Sorry, Nathan. I know you're going through a hard time right now. Most Baltimore area retailers have either started or revamped their online sales capacity since stores were forced to close in March. Good. Some, like cards, comics, and collectors, have added curbside delivery options and even began personally calling customers to encourage them to visit the store. Calling customers personally is a damn good idea. You better call them with a discount or just say, hey, I just want to let you know we really appreciate your business. When you're ready to come back, we've got a nice discount for you. We've got a special offer for you. Or we have a special offer. We want to make sure you didn't miss out because we're doing a sale on a certain day. Whatever. You better come up with a good reason and you better call them. Quote, you're dealing with a really niche market here. People like the feeling of going into the store and seeing the books in person, and that's something people can't wait to get back to. Okay? We'll see, because then your store will fill up in 2 seconds, obviously, right? The comic store is the one place that many people are excited to go other than a bar. Okay. Retailers, nonetheless, remain optimistic about the industry's perseverance and what it means for comic book lovers. Quote, this is an industry that was there for us as readers during World War II. It was there for us during the September 11th crisis, and it made it through the Great Recession. Yes, and it's made it through a lot of tragedies and a lot of stress and a lot of worry, but comics were better then. There used to be 10,000 comic stores. Now there's 2,000, whichever one's reopened. We may be down to 1,000 within a couple of months. I don't know. It's not looking so good. Look, that's the way it is. Again, let me know what you think on this. Give me some comments. Tell me if you agree or you don't agree. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. If you want to support me, collegeofthedead.com. This book ships out immediately. We also have the prequel for this book that's also in stock. It ships out immediately. Check it out. It is a fantastic book. The art's amazing. The story's amazing. My creative team is fantastic. I really, really work with great people. And you also don't want to miss out epicmermaids.com. Sign up for the email list. It's free. It's in the link. And you'll get to see this book. It's Game of Thrones with Mermaids. A really, really well done book. You'll enjoy it. All right, I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, you know I'll miss you.